A great American hero, Greg LeMond, bicycle racer, when he was a kid, said, I want to win the Junior World Championships, I want to win the Elite World Championships, and I want to win the Tour de France. And he did all of those things, and he won the Tour de France 3 times, and he did it without taking drugs. And I believe him. I'm Chris Anderson from Month End, and we're going to talk about setting targets, setting goals, creating a budget, sticking to it, and making money. What do you see behind me? This is a budget for a home builder. This is very important to do every year. Ideally, you do it at the beginning of the year or at the end of the prior year, and you evaluate it and you monitor it throughout the year. You want to revisit it monthly, quarterly at the least. And let's talk today about the process of creating a budget, creating targets. There's a lot of ways to do it. There's a bottoms-up approach where you look at every little expense that you think you might have throughout the year and you program it in. And there's a top-down approach where you say, here's how much money I want to make, which means here's how many projects I need to sell at this price. Here's what the cost of sales needs to be on that. Here's the margins I need to hit, and let's back into my goal. So let's pop into this spreadsheet, for instance. Let's say your goal is to make $293,000. To do that, you're going to have to sell $3.3 million in projects and complete them. And you're going to have to keep your costs to $2.6 million or lower for each of those jobs. You're going to have to keep your overhead to these levels. If you do all of that, you're going to make $293,000. So how do you do all of that? How do you stick to the plan? Well, first you have to have a plan. And I'm going to show you today how to create it. Step 1, fill in your projected job information. All right, so this spreadsheet has 2 tabs. One of them is jobs, and the other one is the overall company financials. So first we start with the jobs. As you can see here, we have a couple projects finishing up that were sold and started in 2021. And we have new projects that are starting in 2022. So what your job is to pull out your crystal ball and either put in the contracted revenue or your expected revenue on the project, forecast your costs. This is really an estimating exercise, right? And this is built based on your estimated costs or some prior job that you built that was similar. Everybody has a different estimating process. Some of them are very detailed and involve cost controls using purchase orders, and some of you guys just wing it. All right. Obviously, the more time you can spend dialing in your costs, the better, because then you can forecast and plan better. So let's take this example. You're going to punch in your revenue, punch in your expected costs, punch in the start month. If it's something from the prior year, punch in 1. The months remaining, the billings from the prior year or the current year. So billings to date, inception to date. And then the spreadsheet's going to calculate the cash flows for the rest of the year. You can also just do this manually if you don't have a fancy spreadsheet. You can contact me and I can share this with you. All right, based on your inputs up here, all of these costs are going to flow through, and now you have a basic budget. All right, January you're going to make $225,000. February you're going to make $71,000, all the way through to the end of the year. So your revenue target and budget here, $3.3 million. Your cost budget and target, $2.6 million. All right, this information is going to flow over to your original forecast. All right, let me click that tab. Here's your original forecast. So you can see these numbers are from predicting what's going to happen with your jobs. Now you're saying, Chris, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, that's fine. Set a goal. Right? Greg LeMond didn't know he was going to win the Tour de France until he said, I'm going to win the damn Tour de France, and he set the goal and he worked toward the goal. So set the goal, make it reasonable, realistic, but challenge yourself. All right, and then document it. What does it look like? When am I going to sell this job? When am I going to start this job? How many months is this job going to take? And just put the pen to paper and put the numbers together. And you can get very detailed about this. You can look at your purchase orders and when the framing is going to start and figure out when you're going to spend that money and when the revenue is going to come in and how you bill. If you don't have the time or energy to get down to that level of detail, do it at a high level. Make it basic. Put a plan together. Well begun is half done. So now we have a forecast. All right, I think I'm going to make this amount of gross profit, and I'm going to spend some money on overhead. Right, I have staff to pay. I have to pay rent. I have to pay my accountant. And at the end of the day, you subtract all of those things and you have a forecast. Okay. If I do what I think I'm going to do and I execute on it, I control my costs. I make sure I get sales price that I want. I do the amount of units that I think I'm going to forecast. I'm going to make $293,000 this year. This gives you a lot of benefits. It gives you something to work for. It helps you control your costs, because if you start getting a little out of whack on your marketing budget and you hit your budget already and it's September and you've already spent 32 grand, you can shut it down potentially for the rest of the year, because your goal is to hit this number. You want to hit that 293. All right. So the budget's great because it gives you a goal, it gives you a target, it helps you anticipate changes in costs and make other adjustments, before the end of the year. And then you also get a good idea of what your tax situation is going to look like. So very important to do this. If you don't have a budget and you don't have goals set as a business, do yourself a favor and put this together. You can do this in a few hours, or you can get very detailed and take a couple days to do it. This is important, and I hope you all can get some value out of this. Again, Chris Anderson at Month End. If you're interested in learning more about this stuff or getting a template from me, reach out to me. Send me an email, chris@monthend.com. I'm happy to help.